I was just told that I'm not actually talking to Chandler Pappas, and that's all a lie I made up. And apparently, I am in fact talking to Chandler Pappas.
Shocking.
How's it going, man? Let me
It's
get the
nice to be
link
out
to
of prison.
this. Yeah, no kidding. This is some funny stuff. I can't believe that crap. She's like calling out the integrity for the wrong dude.
No
So,
kidding. Like, I mean, the thing about Ara, I'll just say this ahead of time. She's like a complete no thought, and I'm sure I'll bring this up, but I forget that she exists until something like this comes out, and she makes some kind of an accusation, and then they've got this like philosophical argument or something where they're like, you have two people with a room temperature IQ combined trying to debate the complexities of our Constitution, and somebody who is anti Second Amendment, who doesn't know that constitutionally there is no difference. There's no it does or doesn't apply to felons. That's extremely new. That's like 1989 or something.
right.
And it's actually just about to be challenged in the Supreme Court, and we're actually I'd be interested to see if it isn't overruled and the law's changed.
So to give people an idea of what the hell's going on here, since I just randomly go live in the middle of the night, I'm brought on Chandler Pappas and Ashley because there's an individual named Ara who was just on a Twitter stream making up a lot of crazy stuff about Jay Danielson and about Villain Report. Actually, that reminds me, I need to go to the Villain Discord and share the link with them so that they can come join us too, because she's saying a lot of stuff that's just flagrantly not true. And I wanted to give the people who actually would know a chance to call that out. I've also invited the person who was hosting it to join us, and he's like, I don't have to join your stupid podcast. You're not even talking to Chandler Pappas. I was like, bitch, I'm talking to him right now on Telegram. It's like, don't tell me what I do.
He can't do anything that Ara doesn't approve of. We all know that by now.
I know, that was so crazy. She's like, just block him right now. Obey me, Queen Ara.
Well, and if you notice, every time she was ready to get off, all of a sudden he would change his tone about, oh, I might have to block him. This might be the second person I've ever blocked. The minute Miss Ara gets mad.
Because I'm just a troll. I wasn't doing any of that to troll. I was doing that because I'm honestly offended by the fact that there's somebody that just magically seems to need some clout, so of course claims to have connections to two people who are not alive and therefore cannot verify whether or not it's true. And you would constantly get called out, like, oh, okay, well, if you got voice recordings of this stuff, then by all means, let's see it. And then she's like, I shared it on Reddit, go look for it. I'm like,
that is her MO and has been for what, almost 3 years now. I have the proof, I'm gonna post it, and it never shows up. She makes YouTube videos with a bunch of false allegations, repeating that she's going to post it, or she finds snippets of things and makes it look like it's real. Yeah, she's good at that, but she's never actually posted any real proof of any allegation she's made.
Right. That's kind of what I got out of it too.
Yeah, she's always reading people's coattails.
So I guess let me just get started with this. First of all, Ashley, could you talk about the situation with the truck and like give the full version of it? Because like I've seen the clip where she was literally recorded talking about it. I'm trying to find the clip because I'd like to play it during this stream. But she's of course just denying that she has anything to do with it, and then she said it's a heavily edited video. That's what she was like. No, dude, they literally live streamed playing it. Nobody edited you. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. So I didn't even know who this girl was when I first got involved in 2020. I had received Facebook messages warning me to stay away from her, and I was just kind of like, I have no idea who it is anyway. Like, I don't care, you know. My first interaction with her was at the free speech rally at Esther Shore Park when Philip Anderson came up. And I was standing there with my husband, who at the time was PB. And she was standing with actually one of our friends at the time, who she had wrapped around her little finger, of course. She's really good at doing that.
Are you talking about Reggie?
And
Reggie
yeah, and yeah. And then there was like a bunch of little kids running around and a lot of families, just lots of kids and whatever. And I had walked over to talk to Reggie and Philip Anderson. And as I was walking back, I walked in front of her and Reggie, and she yelled out, "Fuck Proud Boys." And I just turned around. I said, you know what? You need to watch your mouth. Like, there's children around. Like, you need to stop. Okay.
Right.
I left it at that. Other than that, there was one other time that I saw her, and we were down at Esther Shore Park at nighttime. Antifa had been coming up and trashing downtown Vancouver, and any cars that would drive by that had black bloc in them, we would hit the stop like crossing button, so the car had to stop, and we would walk in front of the car and take a quick picture of the license plate and just walk to the other side of the street. She was in this older blue car in black bloc, and there was another person with her. I have no idea who it was. Anyway, that was the only other time I seen her. She yelled some stuff out of the window, and then we were like, oh, whatever, it's Ara, ignore her. So she went on to tell people that me and a bunch of other patriots tried to jump her friend, who was supposedly this Marine or something. And that's why she had an issue with me and my husband. And then that's when she decided to come over. And I have the pictures of what was spray painted on my truck. She literally put Black Lives Matter and the A with the circle around it. So she was trying to portray it as it was Antifa that did it.
Right.
And then the reason that we were confused at first is because we have the night owl security system. And so if the power goes off or like glitches or anything, it resets the time. So that's where she comes up with that, oh, I have proof I was somewhere else, because the time on the clock says like 4 something, I believe it was, on that video. So we initially figured out it was her and who the other person was. And to my knowledge, the other person had no idea whose house he was coming to. Another man that she had wrapped around her finger with promises of, I'm sure you can guess. Because he was a friend of my friend group. He had no idea he was coming to our home. Like he didn't. There was only one person that even knew where we lived at the time, even aside from our family. So we know where she got the address from. It was from that one person. But we figured it out. At first, we thought it was Reggie, and we quickly learned that it wasn't him. We contacted police, gave them a report, all of that stuff, and then the recording came out. And the police had told us when they came, we showed them the damage, and my husband had already started taking it off. It came right off, but they were like, well, the most I can really do is like $100.
Charlie actually showed up. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. That's surprising.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Just for the sake of it, maybe pause for just a second. So, Chandler, did I manufacture those screenshots, or was that in fact you I was talking to on Telegram?
That was in fact me, unless I'm a clone of me.
Are you
I hired an actor to portray you in this amount of time, and he's posting LOL in the chat like he doesn't look like an absolute fool right now for claiming that I was making up talking to you. But I mean, I invited him on here in good faith. If he wants to come on, I'm not going to crap on him, and I won't let you guys talk over him. But I wanted him to get an opportunity to actually listen to other people, because their whole thing this whole time has been to say, you don't know any of those people. You're not even from here, blah, 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 blah. Okay, yeah, that's right, because I was talking to the people who were standing right next to the guy when he got murdered, or people who have had their truck vandalized, or people who are absolutely there. You know, that's... But anyway, I'm sorry. Please continue with your story, Ashley, so we can continue to clarify.
Yeah, so the officer showed up, and he told us, he was like, well, the most we can get her with is like $100 worth of damage, because you guys were able to get it off. And he let us know. He goes, we're in the middle of COVID. It's probably going to take a long time, you know, blah, 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 blah. Well, then my friends recorded the phone call where she outright admits to it. I have screenshots of her outright admitting to it. I mean, I had to buy extra Google memory just for screenshots to prove that she is the biggest liar I have ever met in my life. Okay. And so at first we were going to proceed with it, but then in March, we decided to move. And I had handed over the recording. I emailed it to the officer. They had it, told me they were going to move forward. It could just take a while because of COVID. And by the time we moved, the officer contacted me probably 2 months after we moved, because there was also another incident she was part of that didn't go well for her or the lady that was involved. And we just told them, we're like, you know what? She's really not worth it. I mean, we were able to get it off the truck. It's fine. Don't ever have to deal with her again. She clearly just needs some help. And so that's why she didn't get charged. She was contacted. She made a YouTube video about it that she conveniently took down, by the way. So yes, they were going to completely charge her. They had enough evidence to charge her. We were the ones that were like, you know what, we're over it. Don't care anymore at this point.
So, all right. Well, with that said, Chandler, you had commented on whether or not she had any kind of relationship with Jay Danielson. So I guess go ahead and just, because she kept saying, well, what is he accusing me of lying about, et cetera, as if we hadn't already said that over and over again. So go ahead and share what your views are on that and what you knew of her personally, what your relationship with her was, to set the record straight.
Ara is somebody that is I guess what I would consider a no thought. She's not somebody that anybody thinks about or talks about before. I don't even want to go down the rabbit hole because it's just not worth my time. And if you track all of my interviews from the time that Jay was murdered until now, you'll notice a trend. And that is that I come to the defense of the man that has been killed. I don't care if she wants to talk about whether or not we were drinking that day or whatever nonsense she wants to say. What's important is that Jay did not go out there to cause a problem. He was not that kind of person. He was not that guy. And I guess probably that little bit where I left before his body was cold. She claims that in the police report, there's this and there's that. Well, in the police report, you'll notice that I was there for, I don't even remember how long, felt like days. I watched him carry his body away on the stretcher. Probably the photos of me being restrained by the police, weren't somewhere else, right? They were there where the body was. That's where all the footage is. That's where all of that happened. So I don't really care. It doesn't matter to me what this no thought thinks of me at all. But you can't go out there and tarnish the name of a dead man or say things like villain was QAnon or any number of things that she just fabricates. It's the strangest thing. And I've only ever met one other person like that in my life. And it's actually quite fascinating. There should be a scientific study on people like that.
But can I chime in first? Oh, go ahead, Chandler. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I don't care. She can say whatever she wants about me. She can say whatever about this. It doesn't matter. Don't defame my friend who was a good man. Don't say that you knew things about him that you didn't, things that you learned afterwards. I would be willing to bet that you don't know what Jay stands for. She clearly doesn't. She calls him Aaron all the time. There's not a person in his life that calls him Aaron, okay, save his parents, right? So it's just fabricated. And I'm kind of have a problem with that because I did know both of those guys. So the truth is that she's a liar about 90% of what she says. I don't care. She can lie about whatever the fuck she wants about who she knows and who's going to back it up. Yeah, Dan Tooze, who she mentioned, I mean, he talks to me, so probably that's not going to be somebody who's going to come and back you up. Enrique, maybe. He knows about the September 26th event where I was allegedly trying to get people to bring their loaded ARs. I had to fight Enrique, and I mean fight, to get him to move that event from the Justice Center. This is... Yeah. And the thing, too, anything that I've said how's life in Phoenix, Ashley?
Huh?
So how's
Oh,
that
you hear the
for
cars? It's been nice and warm, but these damn cars are so loud when they drive by.
Right. So any question anybody has about Jay, and I'll just leave it here because I'm so sick of this. Any question anybody has about Jay, whether or not he was trying to go and cause problems, look at the video.
That was exactly what I did, and when I did my documentary on the topic, I looked at all of it. Yeah, he pulled out his weapons, but if I was a patriot walking down the street that day, I would have done so as well. He didn't pull out any lethal ones.
He chose to go for bear mace, which I didn't even realize what had happened at the time. And you want to say that I lied about it. The dispute was whether or not he discharged it, and I didn't think that he had. I also didn't think that he was armed because I had a rule about not bringing my guns downtown. I misspoke.
That was exactly what I got out of it too. That's why I clarified that with the guy who just keeps telling, like, I can't remember the name of the account, but they just keep telling these like partial truths. I'm like, he said he wasn't armed. He didn't. He just said he did not bring any firearms. Meaning
Oh,
you.
You're talking about John the Lefty, Burn Boy. That's who keeps saying that.
Well, right. The point is that
Full Rev Media.
I don't know. I don't know who that is,
people in
but
the
I
chat
do.
asking questions, and we'll get to that in a moment.
I do want to address that one comment when we're done.
By all means, just let me finish my clarification, which was that the point is that when you were on Tucker Carlson, you said, "I don't bring my firearms." You didn't say Jay didn't have any firearms.
Well, at the time, I believed he didn't. So if I ever said that he didn't have his guns, it's because I believed he didn't because I didn't have mine.
Right, but they bring it up.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Well, they bring it up in this bizarre because since the Reinhold thing happened, they used to spam that stupid article to us that Antifa linked to 0 deaths in this many years, blah 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 blah. And when he finally killed somebody after saying he was 100% Antifa, I watched as they wiggled, trying to figure out how to handle that. And at first, it was, well, he wasn't Antifa, he was anti-fascist. I was like, what? Come on, dude. Like, are you serious? And then eventually they switched gears, and then he became this martyr and this hero. And what they do is they try to carefully only discuss how he got shot by the cops, not what he had done. Then it becomes about how he was executed by the police, not anything that led up to that. So they're carefully trying to control the narrative, and they know that the Reinhold thing makes them look terrible, and they don't really have a way to compute it. And the funny thing is that even after it happened, it looked to me like Antifa was panicking, like, oh shit, he actually shot somebody. like what are we gonna do? And it also made me think that the people in that black Charger had some idea what was going on, because they pulled up really loud, like the Dunlap guy, like the guy who took the Dunlap video, literally is like, I love it when I hear revenue engines. It kind of scares me because they flew up the street and then blew the red light to get to where you guys were. Like they had some idea of what was going on. Those are all details we're never going to know. But, when they got, that's the funny thing is they keep talking about how they're going to reveal more videos. And every time they've done it, then another cell phone video comes out that actually shows Jay clearly, with his bear mace, but it also showed Reinhold right before that coming out in front of him and yelling and, finally clarifying, who's saying, we got a couple right here. Okay. And so they revealed this extra video to say, see, we told you it was self-defense. And I'm like, no, that's not actually what that video shows. And then I included it in my documentary, and it didn't make him look any better, because at the end of the day, even if Jay was walking around, and he wasn't, proactively spraying people with bear mace, if Antifa wants to argue that that is sufficient reason to shoot people, Antifa shoots people with bear mace for saying things they don't like. Like, there would be an awful lot of dead kids in Black Bloc if that was an acceptable acceleration of violence. So that was my spiel. Sorry about that. Chandler, go ahead and comment on that if you need to, and then we'll get back to Ashley on these comments.
Yeah, no, I mean, I appreciate you always being thorough about it. And like I said, this I don't care what's thought, no thought, whatever she thinks about me, what the 8 people who buy her book are going to think about me. I don't care what the entire country thinks about me. You want to argue my now criminal record? You want to argue whether we were drinking? I don't give a fuck, man. I just don't. What I do, and like I said, the trend has always been that I've always come to the defense of the man who was murdered in cold blood for no reason. because that's what it's always been about. That's who this bitch is trying to ride the coattails of, is this event. She's trying to make herself significant. She always has. I don't care what she does, but she needs to leave my friend out of it.
That's what I would have hoped for as well, and that's what the Villain Report Discord is saying. Like, what the hell is this lady saying? And I'm actually talking to them about trying to get one of them on here.
Yeah, you know what would be cool is if she knew Villain's real name. Yeah.
Right? Or other specific things about him that she absolutely doesn't know.
Yeah, maybe relating to his death, which is not the anniversary that she indicated.
Yeah.
So let's give Ashley a moment to address the allegations against her and her husband that are in the chat.
Definitely.
Yeah, so this Full Rev Media, why is Ashley leaving out a lot of drama? Is it because her husband was exposed for child abuse, partially by Ara? Then he goes on to say, court document shows Ashley's husband is a child abuser. So let's talk about that. There are no court documents that prove anything. There was a woman who I'm going to leave unnamed, but I have plenty of proof of her and Ara's connection, as well as one other person, and why she went on to do this. She went and filed a temporary restraining order claiming all these things about my husband. And then the only things she put in there as evidence were a bunch of posts that Antifa had posted of me and my husband at different rallies or whatever.
Let me pause you real quick just to give you some validity to this point. You don't have to present any evidence to get yourself a personal restraining order, and you can make up any crazy claim you want.
Exactly.
It doesn't get challenged until you go back to court, but they'll give you whatever you want ex parte, and it'll still be on the record. So anyway, go ahead.
Yes. So we had already moved down here. We did the first court hearing over video in which said person asked for a continuance. Judge gave it to her. 2 weeks later, we were back in court, and the judge pretty much laughed her out of court and advised her that what she was doing was walking a very fine line along defamation. The judge was able to see that she lied about sometimes she claims my husband was arrested and, all this stuff. And she had absolutely no proof or anything that showed my husband is a child abuser in any way, shape, or form. At all. At all. But I did, however, which I have screenshots for, uncover the reason why she was trying to do this, along with Ara and one other person I'm going to leave unnamed, is I have a nice little screenshot of her commenting on one of the Vancouver housing groups where she tells somebody, well, I was waited 5 years for my housing voucher, but because I'm in the middle of a domestic violence situation right now, I got it right away. Said domestic violence situation being the temporary order she got on my husband that was laughed out of court.
Right.
So no, there is no court documentation whatsoever anywhere proving my husband abused children.
So okay, so I guess that kind of clarifies a lot of what was said. I think that the biggest thing that overall for me that I noticed was the trend was that, for one thing, she got really prissy when the person who was interviewing her was even allowing anybody to question her, and then she kept trying to order him.
Well, that's what she does. She won't let you go face to face with her. She runs if you address her in public. She'll have some excuse for, I'm not doing this here, I'm above this, blah 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 blah. She will not face people and talk to them on a public forum and get called out for what she's done. She won't do it. If she wants
to come in here, I'll send her the link right now. She can do it right now. And I also sent the guy he initially agreed. He was like, yeah, okay, I'll come on, to your podcast, and I'll hear the other side.
I don't live in a van, guys. I'm sitting on my back porch.
I don't need to come to your crappy podcast. You don't even edit your videos. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about, pal? Then he was like, you're not even talking to Chandler. These are fabricated screenshots. I'm like, dude, I did not fabricate screenshots to make some kind of a point in your podcast that had 10 listeners. I'm like, it's not that important.
They call that admission by projection.
Right.
He's learning from Ara quickly.
Yeah. Well, and it looks like Farley tapped out too, because
No,
It's
he
not.
didn't.
It's
Well,
not
he
shocking.
laughed once and he didn't say anything else afterwards. And you know,
Yeah.
I linked this on it and I sent him the link in PMs. I'm sure he's still listening. He's not going to be able to prevent himself from doing it. But I just wanted to clarify. There's something that I take very seriously is that I am very, very careful before I open my mouth about something. And if I make mistakes, then I revise things. That's why there's like 6 versions of my Kyle Rittenhouse documentary, because
Which I've watched all of them.
Thank you. But my big iteration here is about the truth. And that's not always going to make the left look good, and it's not always going to make the right look good. You know, and I don't agree with everything that everybody I bring on says or does or is involved with. For example, I'm not into violent activism. Everybody knows that. You know, but I'll talk to anybody who's reasonable. And you know, I consider Chandler, you know, you and I had a great talk. I think it was a very, you know, philosophical talk. It was very productive. And that's the reason why you earn my respect. You know, I'm sure there are plenty of things that we don't agree on, but the reality is the way you conducted yourself when you talked to me, knowing full well that I was a left-leaning person who just wanted to interview you about the death of your friend. You know, that was where that went. You know, when it comes to this, when I'm listening to him, basically, like, I don't know if he's crushing on her or whatever it is, but dude, I mean, he was softballing her the whole time and giving her whatever she wanted, and then talking about how, you know, he's being a journalist or something, and that she's, you know, her credibility is not in question, or saying things like, it's all in the book. It's all in the book. I'm like, okay, so she wrote stuff in her book. You can write anything in a book. That doesn't make it real. The Inquirer writes stuff all the time. It doesn't make it real. You know,
I
that's
caught
why.
that.
And
Yeah.
Tam called her out repeatedly on Twitter saying, you know, okay, so where's the voice recording? Because if you remember the voice recording of or whatever, I guess it was allegedly was a voicemail that you left her. And you said, fine, tell her to play the voicemail, you know, and then she's like, well, I uploaded it on Reddit. And we're like,
Which it was not
okay,
there at all.
so
It
share it
wasn't there
then.
anywhere.
No, I don't want to spam Twitter with the links. That's what she said. I'm like, no, dude, you could just share it here from Reddit. It's not a big deal. No, it's not my fault that you don't understand how to operate Reddit. You can search the names and you'll find it. I'm like, no, I think what the problem is what you're talking about doesn't fucking exist. It would be so simple. If it's a voice recording, she could have uploaded it directly to Twitter. She could have uploaded it anywhere. She has no credibility. She wants people to buy this book, which isn't, I'm not going to buy a damn thing. But what concerned me about all of this was not trolling either. I am so sick of people lying about the events going on in the world right now. I despise fake news. That's my big motive. So when somebody is like, especially, you know, trying to chase clout by going after and suggesting, for example, you're friends with villain, that was another conversation that got weird, because then all of a sudden she's like, well, he and I hadn't talked for 4 months because we got into a big argument because, you know, he was getting involved in too much right-wing QAnon stuff. And I'm like, who the fuck are you? Because that's not villain report. What the hell are you talking about? So, but anyway, that was why I did this. And I'm normally a lot more prepared. Like my icon is backwards and stuff like that. But I was hoping to try to get it live so that we could just play them and then react to them, you know, in live. But
Yeah.
we kind of already heard it all, and I think that we've addressed most of it. You know, and it's great to have the two of you on. I'd like to have you on sometime just to be panelists. I'm hoping on doing conversations in the future where I invite people from various different political backgrounds and belief systems to be able to give their views on just current events. It doesn't always have to be something directly relevant to your life, you know. But
That would be awesome.
So, but you know, that's something that Chandler and I talked about a lot when I interviewed him, was about trying to have more open dialogue between people who don't necessarily agree about everything. Is what we need to do to be able to save society. You know, it's not just about whether or not we're going to have, you know, healthcare or gun control or something like that. If we can't even have like sensible conversations, then none of the rest of this is even worth anything. So, you know, I guess there's some other questions here. Oh, we got a super chat from Lucifer the Doberman. Are Chandler and Ashley living in Vancouver? West Coast represent. No, I don't think they're in Vancouver, dude.
No.
We checked out.
We got smart.
Leave it there.
Right.
Yeah, but we were from the West Coast. I was Portland area, and Ashley was Vancouver.
Yeah. There's one here again from Full Rev Media. Why was Chris booted from the Proud Boys? Who says he was?
Yeah. Yeah, one that caught me a little off guard was I high on cocaine when Jay was
Yeah,
killed.
I've seen that.
I haven't done cocaine since like 2012. So like even when I went to Westfest, I was it's not my thing anymore. So I mean, whatever. Like I said, it doesn't matter to me that the thing, like, you know, for the third time, it's just you can't say that shit about dead men and try to ride their coattails. I mean, people have been really severely hurt for less than that. I mean, I hope that she figures her life out, whatever she's doing with it, that she feels so empty that she doesn't have something else to pursue, that she has to jump on this like 2-year-old tragedy and try to make herself relevant. I mean, if it wasn't so despicable, it would be quite sad. But other than that, I mean,
Yeah.
I appreciate you know, Neil, fucking what a gentleman, by the way, posting screenshots and going to bat for the truth.
Exactly.
Like,
And I've been gathering all of those for you as well, Neil, so we can still do the video to break all that down.
I'd love to do that. That'd be fine.
Like I
Shelley,
said, I literally
know.
had to pay for more storage in my phone.
I don't
It's
know
a
what
lot.
you're saying that I'm not letting anybody else talk about, Shelley. If you want to come on the stream, I'll invite you on and you can ask whatever the hell question you want. I'm not scared of you guys at all.
yeah.
But let me see what we got here. I'm pretty sure Full Rev Video is actually Ara, by the way, if I remember their Twitter. So
or it's Burn Boy. I think
Villain
it's Burn Boy,
criticizes women
actually.
being able to vote and push the Jewish question. He definitely held fascist takes.
Villain talked. Hold on.
He had some kind of interesting views on women. I will say that.
Exactly. Villain talked about
views
and pondered on a lot of different aspects of the world, of life, of a lot of things. He was a very smart person. I mean, if people really listen to him talk, he was always looking for more knowledge, no matter what it was about. I didn't necessarily agree with, I'll say a few, just a couple little things, but I love Villain to death. Him and I were out there on the ground. We've been many places together, and he was a really good man. And it just really disgusts me that she even thinks it's anywhere okay to be talking about him or Jay.
Yeah, she should definitely stay in her lane.
Yeah.
Okay, well, oops.
Yeah, you know what's bizarre about your claims there, Ashley, is that there's video to corroborate them. Lots of it.
Well, and it's interesting is like we're already doing more for her than she would do for us.
The difference between me and her is there's actually video of me and Villain out there and doing different things, but you don't see much of. I mean, I personally have seen Villain say hi to her before at different events, but that all stopped in 2020 when she started with the crazy YouTube videos that she's taken down and starting all this drama and spewing all these lies about different people. And then he had nothing to do with her after that. That's why they were fighting. They weren't even fighting. Villain was just like, stay the hell away from me. You're too much drama.
So, I guess then it all kind of comes back to the fact that she is claiming that she has certain relationships with people to try to get herself some credibility. And she would always say things like, well, they're not saying anything because they know I'm telling the truth. And I kind of counter that with, why didn't anybody else show up during this conversation to corroborate any of your story? And why is it that all of the reaction you're getting is negative? Like,
well, she did this the whole time.
Every single person that chimed in at 10 p.m. or 9:30 or 11 or 11:30 now has been against everything that she said. She hasn't had one person come on to verify anything, and she won't. And like I said, this is definitely more time than I would normally give to somebody who's doing whatever the hell she thinks she's doing.
Yeah.
Oh no, normally I wouldn't either. It more just comes down to, you don't freaking lie about people who aren't with us. You know, like that was kind of a low blow.
Right. And that's why we're both here, it turns out.
Yep, and there are some people from Villain's Discord who want to come have a say about whether or not, you know, like how well she knew Villain as well. So we'll see how that plans out. I'm sending them the link now.
You know what would be interesting is if you keep this around and it can just resurface whenever she decides to make a post about her book.
I'd be happy to see that. That's for damn sure.
We can spam our social media with the link.
So, yes, indeed. She keeps claiming that she was able to prove all of this stuff and that all of this conversation has already been had or whatever in the past. I've never seen any of that. So
no, she just made her little videos. She would delete the comments. Like anytime I commented on them or anyone else calling her out, she'd delete them. And then eventually, according to her, she took them all down because she wanted to go in a different direction. But that's her MO. It has been since 2020. She claims all this stuff. She has all this proof. I mean, she even made 2 videos about the Proud Boys that she said they had 24 hours to apologize to her, or she was putting out all the proof. Never happened. They never happened. Yep. I mean, I'm sure she does have a couple people on the right that feed her information. I have no doubt about that. But then there's another question of.
Oh, I'm sorry, I said Reggie.
Then there's another question of. Do they even know what the heck they're talking about? No. So it's just her MO. I have all these people that'll back me up. I have all this evidence. And once again, where is it, Ara? Nowhere. We're going on 3 years of the same spiel.
So, I mean, Full Rev Media, if you want to come on and ask all the questions yourself, just let us know. I don't see it happening, though. You don't really like to participate in a situation where somebody's not controlling the whole narrative for you. And you're definitely not going to get that here. I won't let anybody just openly engage in crazy ad hominem, but at the same time, I will totally give you the microphone and you can make whatever accusations you want and be able to answer them in real time with somebody who can do so instead of you just saying whatever the hell you want with a guy who's giving you puff questions, for his puff piece for you. I don't know what the story is with that. I don't know what you did to get him to be so obedient to you, but I don't know if it's just he's not accustomed to having guests at all or something or whatever it was, but you got whatever you want there. You won't get whatever you want on my stream, but I do take my my integrity very seriously. Yes, on YouTube. You can come on right now on this stream, Full Rev Media. I'm telling you right now, you can come on right now. I will send you the link. Come on. Please do. Didn't think so. All right, let's see who's here. Okay. Hello, can you hear us? Hey, Uber.
Hey, can you hear me all right?
Yeah, you
this
sound
is one
great.
of Villain's mods.
You're one of Villain's mods.
Hi.
Speak up a little bit.
Yeah, so I'm one of Villain's mods. We detest and rebuke everything that Ara said on that live, just to let everyone know. Not true. Apparently, one of our mods knows something that is pretty spicy about her, but he won't let us know. So
there's a lot of people that say they have Jay Chandler.
I don't know. It's a
I'm
rumor.
sure the drama is up to the roof on that.
I mean, when this goes to court for defamation, the last thing they're going to care about is what I said about her STD.
I can't with you.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, I only mentioned one of them. Like, come on.
No, Full Rev Media, I don't want you to go to the Discord. I'm going to send you the link. So reach out to me on Twitter and I'll bring you on and you can talk to them.
Sorry to cut you off, Uber. Go ahead, please.
Yes.
No, I mean, you guys kind of covered everything that we wanted to say, other than, it's clear she doesn't know Villain. Like, well,
I will attest to the fact that I have seen her say hi to him a few times at different events. But that lasted a very short period of time.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, Villain he would share what he's eating for dinner. He would share the hotels he's at with us. Like, we would speak on camera.
Yeah.
Like, we were very, very close to the guy, and he never once mentioned this lady. Like, she's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, we just added another person from the Villain Discord. I'm sure I was lying about the Villain Discord too. But go ahead, Chrissy. Tell us what's up. Can't hear you. Were you trying to talk? Pretty sure that's Chrysanthemum. I don't know if they can hear us or if they've got their mic set up or not, but I guess we'll find out. Yeah, that was it, Uber. Was just that it was like all the people who've been on Villain's Discord didn't know who she was, and then she's trying to act like, well, I don't use Discord. Why? Who uses Discord? Discord is lame. Discord is bad.
Villain would promote the hell out of his Discord because he always wanted to have debates. Like he always wanted to be like, "Hey, you're wrong. Actually, I think this is the case." You know, but all on his Twitter.
Well, and she definitely did like using Discord because she thought she was super cool when Jake invited her into his until they threw her out for the drama. Like, literally.
Uber, did Villain ever tell you about the time we were at Joey's birthday party?
Not that I recall.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not questioning your validity or anything, but you had mentioned that he was very much about challenging people when he thought they were wrong. And if a motherfucker couldn't read a room, it was Villain sometimes because damn, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, he's
100%.
surrounded by Antifa and not know like that like they're trying to attack him and gang up on him. He'd still be asking questions.
I know.
So I'm friends with Mary Todd, and one
guy.
of the things that Mary and I talk about all the time is how hilarious it is that Villain could keep up an intellectual argument and debate while simultaneously handling his camera or phone, while simultaneously dodging Antifa attacks. He could still have like a completely, eloquent argument with somebody that he was talking to at the time. He was a great multitasker in that regard.
Or how about his knack for being able to find the only dog at any event? Villain would find the only dog in probably a 5 square mile radius to pet and play with.
Right. So to those of you who are just tuning in now, because yes, I was gone for a while, I was moving and then I got sick. I'm actually still technically sick right now. So that's the reason why you haven't heard from me for a little bit. I had to move kind of abruptly. Then I had to wait for my internet to be turned back on. So that's why I've been gone so long. Chrissy, did you ever get your mic working? As far as I know, you're not muted. Guess not. Well, anyway, it was good to hear from you guys as far as like what was going on with the Discord and the fact that, Villain would come to the Discord at the end of everything, talk to you guys, and share everything with you guys. And I remember that my interactions with him usually were either on my own Discord or in private messages. But he was a guy that was great to have around. I didn't always agree with everything he said, but at the same time, when he covered stuff, he was usually pretty straight down the middle about it. And I think in particular, his coverage of how the Chaz Chop police murdered somebody and then injured another one, like he was right there when it happened and it had a big impact on him. And he discusses that all that footage is still on his channel too. So, if you haven't already, check it out. I also interviewed him on my stream, and you guys can check that out on my archives. So we got message requests coming in.
It's Full Rev Media. He
Yep.
said he DM'd you.
Okay, 1 second. I gotta give him the link. So
Shelly, his family kept everything very private. She's saying that she thinks it's a hoax.
That's the one that accused me of using cocaine. So I don't know how much.
Yeah.
And she might be referring to me needing my own tree.
She better not.
Oh, we talking about the tree that was in Portland or whatever? The one that they put up as like a memorial.
Or 2 people or something said that I need my own, or they wish it was me or something. I don't know. Classic.
She said no, she was just asking because there was no name, no obituary, no funeral. That's why I said his family kept everything very private.
Yeah, here's something else that a lot of people don't know is that how he died is not how everyone is told that he died. So have fun with that. It'll be interesting to see what Ara comes up with on that front.
Exactly.
No, I sent you the link, by the way, guys. I'm to the person in question.
Oh, this Skodine is the one. Yeah, we all wish it was Chandler's tree and not Jay's tree.
Yeah, I mean, worked out the way it worked out, I guess. Well, all of our time will come.
Yeah.
Maybe Ara is like one of those NPCs that can only tell a lie, and maybe like there's like a counterpart of her that can only tell the truth, and they're supposed to be guarding a gate. Maybe that's why she's like that.
Well, she comes
Robert
across as
Zerfing
somebody
was in
who's just trying to become more important than she actually is. When you make a comment about, well, like everybody's like, well, why are they so angry? Their anger proves that what I'm saying is valid. I'm like, no, they're angry because you're lying. It's like people can be angry at you because you're not telling the truth. That's a thing. That's real. Like, it doesn't make you more credible. All right, so let's see who we got here.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. What's up, Full Rev?
So do you want me to ask questions for Chandler, or do you want me to address the villain stuff?
Well, first, I guess you can try to address the villain stuff.
So, I met Villain, I don't know, August of 2020, and me and Villain have had, probably 4+ hours of conversation at protests and such, sometimes heated debates and sometimes not. But this idea was, so being a free thinker and being somebody that is smart and an intellectual doesn't mean that he didn't hold fascistic beliefs. So that's not really.
Before you go any further, let's define what you mean by fascistic beliefs.
So across the board, there's different kinds of fascist movements all across the globe that have little bits of differences depending on whether we're talking about movements that were happening in the 40s, 50s, or more modern fascist movements, but they all have a consistent, one of the most consistent is that that men are not equal and that there's a natural hierarchy that needs to be maintained. So that's the most common trait when it comes to.
Think that that's what he believed then? Because he didn't come across as a very authoritarian person to me.
Well, I mean, I could tell you some of the things that he's said and tweet. I have a couple of screenshots.
Okay, but was he authoritarian or not?
Which I already mentioned.
What was he authoritarian? You mentioned that.
I would say most of the things that he said lead to authoritarianism. When it comes to actually being able to apply them as in a policy, it would take authoritarianism to do so.
Can I chime in here?
Go ahead, Chandler.
So it's interesting that saying things like a traditionalist understanding of a male-female relationship is fascist, because up until I guess we could probably go back as far as women's suffrage, right? Up until that point, women didn't really have a world that was safe for them to go and work and use machines, or to go down and pick berries without getting eaten by a fucking bear. So the fact that you guys say that there's, for all of time, this male-female dynamic that has existed and that has been functional is now different, and looking back on time and how it has been functional since literally the beginning of man is fascist is peculiar to me.
Did you have a rebuttal for that? Are you still there?
Nah, he fucked off. Of course he doesn't have a response to that.
Oh no, maybe he does. Oh, hello, go ahead, Full Rep.
Did my mic turn off?
Yeah, we couldn't hear you, bro.
Okay.
But it's okay. So go ahead and respond to what Chandler said.
So are you saying that the traditional gender roles, as far as and we're talking, what I'm hearing is we're talking centuries ago, are the natural way that things should be?
Well, I'm telling you that up until about a century ago, they were that way 100% of the time.
And so there's, you can either hold the position that that's how it should be, or that's how it shouldn't be.
Okay,
Well,
well,
There's
I
no,
guess
you don't get
there's
to
not
put me
really.
in a box and
yeah, go
determine
ahead.
what I should or shouldn't or what I'm going to say. What I'm telling you is that that's how it was. So it's
Okay.
peculiar that there's this new trend where something that has been one way since the beginning of man is now somehow a specific political belief.
Yeah, if somebody's saying that the problem with today's modern society, generally referring to it as like a postmodern society, one of the problems is that women were given the ability to vote, and that's part of the reason for the problems that we have in society. You are then advocating that women should never have had the right to vote.
So I think we're
That's a
kind
So
of
lot of
let me go on to something here because I have no problem like navigating debates like these for you guys. But the main reason we were talking about villain was that somebody was claiming to have known them who didn't, or not at least had a very close relationship with them.
yeah.
yeah, well, I mean, the
So
Nazis wore red, and if I like red, that makes me a Nazi, right? I mean, that's effectively the argument, and it's just asinine to me. So that's the long and short of what I was asking. The villain's a fascist because he has to
Nazis were socialists,
Okay.
and their political enemies were the
Full,
communists.
full red talk shit about somebody that's dead or what?
No. He's making a very, very primitive and simple political argument.
Hey, John, I have a question. What's your opinion on this book that Ara is putting out?
When I saw it, I thought I laughed because it's funny that it's titled, the most
The
hated
most hated
activist or
activist,
whatever.
yeah.
Which, like, yeah, there's plenty of people that dislike her, but most people don't know or give a shit about Ara. So that's my general take. I don't think it's gonna get much. I don't think very many people are gonna read it, but I also do believe there's people that I disagree with that I'm like diametrically opposed to politically. But Villain's an example. Me and him were opposites in pretty much everything politically. But I believe that Villain still had a heart, and I believe that he was an honest person. And
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that I feel that way about Ara, but I feel that Ara is more honest than most of the right wingers that I interact with. And so when Ara says some of the things that she says, I don't like, I know that she's an attention seeker. I know that she doesn't remember things accurately all the time. I've had experiences with her personally where she said that I said things that I never said. But I do believe that she's not blatantly lying about things. Whether I don't know what she's going to have in the book. So, I can't say, the things that she's going to say are going to be right or wrong or they have validity or not, because I don't necessarily know everything that's going to be in it. I know some of the things that she said, and some of them really make sense. And I don't,
But what it
I don't
sounds to me like, though, is you've just kind of stated that she says that you said things that you didn't say. Doesn't
Yeah,
that
my
kind of
next question.
like, where does her credibility come into that? It's like, well, I believe
That
her,
was,
but
yeah.
she says stuff that I said stuff that I didn't actually say. How can you
That
give
was going
somebody
to be my
credibility at that
next
point?
question.
Right. Sorry. Go ahead.
Well, the
Yeah.
things that she's claimed that I had said, they're not just like outright falsities. They're more like they're twisted enough to where they just don't mean the same thing. What she thinks she remembers is almost accurate, but my point is about her intention, that I don't think that she actually is lying. I think that she just doesn't remember things accurately, or she has some kind of knee-jerk response where she responds hyperbolically, like in the sense where she can
Now,
exaggerate, or
I mean,
that's
she
been
speaks like
okay.
she's like a prepubescent 12-year-old. She's just reactive. Like,
Yeah,
I don't
honest
think that
question.
anything that she says
Are
has
you
good intentions.
feeling this way because she is saying these things about people that you don't like? So because if you when you and I have talked, John, you seem like a really smart person as well. I don't agree with your political stance at all or some of the things you've done, but I can tell you're intelligent, and just with the things you've, seen yourself watch her do and being antagonistic and hateful, and you can't tell me that you haven't seen her lie quite a few times.
Oh, so this is John the Lefty.
Yes,
This is,
it is.
yes.
Okay, I got you. All right, well then.
Okay.
I
Chrissy,
think-
did you get your
included
microphone working? Real quick, guys, because Chrissy's been waiting. Chrissy, did you get your microphone
Oh,
working?
yeah.
Did I hear you earlier?
I'm here. I'm here.
Okay,
I'm
cool.
here.
The main reason I was just pause what we're dealing with there for a moment, guys, because Chrissy was waiting. So, like, just to be clear, I know like you were one of the people that is one of the main moderators in the Villain Report Discord, and you were here to correlate the fact that you guys are very close with Villain, and you never heard anything about any relationship with Ara either. Is that correct?
Right. Yeah. We would spend sometimes 6 hours a night talking with them. We knew a lot of details about Villain personally. He was to 4 to 5 of us, and Ara was never mentioned. Thing out of those two, Ara and Farley was that end there. He didn't really like Farley, so that's the only thing I've ever heard about them, and it was short. And Ara, nothing. Things that she says and continues to say and post are, and it's really upsetting.
You think you cut out a little bit there. I don't know if that was just for me, but like you just said that what I heard you say was that the things she's posting are inaccurate. Was that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought too. Yeah, what were you going to say, Uber?
100%. It clout. She mentions his name. She mentions Jay's name just to get us all riled up and talking about her. That's what I believe.
People that aren't here.
Right, which makes it a hell of a lot easier. It looks like Full Rev accidentally got kicked, and then I'll bring him back on here in a second. All right, there we go. So, okay, so continuing what we were doing. So the funny thing is like, inadvertently here, I bring on people from opposing sides who are conducting themselves like human beings while talking to one another. I appreciate that. Ha ha, my evil plan to make you talk to each other like humans has succeeded. Anyway, no, that wasn't actually planned. It was just like really good. So, but in any case, I think the funny thing about this is that the opposition came on here and still kind of directly said, well, nobody liked her anyway.
And that's why I asked him the question I did. Like, I genuinely think he's going to back her in a way because he's excited to see what dirt she's going to put out about people that he hates.
That was kind of what my concern about the whole thing was, is like, I noticed the left, like, just sitting there licking their chops at like, wait, somebody's going to say negative stuff about Jay Danielson and help get us off the hook for the Rhino mess. Awesome.
Well, it's everybody she's going to talk about. Like, they love to sit there and be like, oh, they're eating each other alive. You know what I mean?
Well, right.
So it's like, of course, they're going to give her some kind of credit when they've all seen her lie repeatedly about them, about people on the right. Like, it's just crazy to me. Like, they can hate her when they want to, but when she's going to do something like this, well, I genuinely think she's telling the truth. I just don't understand that logic. I don't.
By the way, Brandon Farley has still not answered my call out to come on this stream. I'm being nice to everybody.
And Farley's
we're all
on Ara.
Farley's what?
Farley's definitely simping for Ara.
It wasn't just me.
No.
See? Oh my God.
Farley has a history of that, though. He's done that to so many girls on the left and the right. That's his MO.
Yeah. He'll literally change his political beliefs based off of who he's chasing.
What was that,
Chandler?
I
actually feel bad for Binky.
Chandler said something and I didn't hear it, guys. What was that, Chandler?
Oh.
I'm sorry. I was just being shitty. I said I don't pay attention to Brandon Farley. I mean,
okay.
like, frankly, like I said, man, I couldn't put in words how much I appreciate you going out to find the truth and put the truth out there and challenge people who are intentionally trying to distort truth. But I've also said, I've been on track the same way that I've always been. I've said my piece. There is absolutely no what's even the word? There's no foundation beneath anything that Ara has said about Jay and I going out to cause problems that night. I give a fuck what she writes in her book. She can write her book and she can make millions of dollars off of it and retire in the Fiji Islands. Like, I don't care. But you can't defame my friend's name, either of them, while you do it.
So, Full Rev, you had questions for Chandler. Can you ask them in a manner that's going to result in constructive answers?
Well, did Ara lie about Jay hitting up Ara before you guys went downtown?
I mean, as far as I know, they didn't even ever have each other's numbers.
Where did the stuff come from about people saying that you guys were walking home? Was that just something people made up, or did that come from you?
I don't understand the question.
Well, what were you? I guess the best way to answer it would be
you guys were just walking home. That you were downtown for no other reason than you were on your way home.
I mean, yeah, we peeled off of the caravan, right?
Yeah,
you're right.
So it's not accurate when people say that you guys said that you were walking home.
You know, I don't think that. I think you should get to the question that you actually want to ask me.
Well, I mean, we know that neither of you guys live downtown, so that wouldn't make sense that you guys were walking home.
Do you know where we parked?
No.
What was that? You know that he was murdered in front of a parking garage, right?
Correct.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, you don't have to tell me it's correct. I was there.
Yeah.
So what is the question you really want to ask me?
I was just wondering if you were saying that you were walking home or if other people were saying that.
I mean, it sounds like a lot of people
because I believe you lied about a bunch of things. But you've made statements along the lines of that some of the things you said weren't lies, that you just misspoke. Example being that he wasn't armed.
Yeah, so, I mean, like I said, I genuinely thought he wasn't. I had a rule about not bringing my guns downtown, and by the time the CSC interview was out, which actually wasn't originally CNC, that was supposed to go to Andrew's channel. Fun fact. I did that for Andrew. By the time we got to Tucker, I was made aware that Jay was in fact armed, so we amended the statement.
He certainly didn't have his gun in his hand at the time, which would be more relevant in my opinion.
Which actually, right. I mean, that's kind of what John's notorious for doing, is they kind of break everything down and muddy the water and make it seem like it's something that it's not. You're right. It doesn't really matter, does it? Whether he was or wasn't armed, that doesn't justify his murder.
Well, he didn't
go around waving a gun around, did he?
It comes back to, why were you guys downtown?
What does it matter? What if I was looking for a fight? What if I was looking for a fight? What if we went down there and we had bear mace and what did they say he had? A
nightstick, but collapse.
No, he had the asp. He had the expandable one. I remember that. Right. So he had the expandable asp, and let's imagine for a second that I had a weapon too, and we're going down there and we're looking for a fight. Does that change anything? Does that justify his murder if we're looking to brawl out with people who want to brawl out?
You have to. Every individual is going to answer that differently. I'm going to say morally.
No, there's an objective answer, and the answer is no. That's how it's represented in law. Which I don't know if you know anything about law. If you've ever read like Baron von Montesquieu, anything from the 1500s or before that. Something maybe from Polybius, like 2,000 years ago, when they're talking about law, about the purpose of law, about what morals are and why they're still represented the same way that they are today, that they were 2,000 years ago, what is morally acceptable and what isn't. Killing a man while he's unarmed or not known to be armed has never been acceptable, ever.
That is he wasn't not armed. He just wasn't using a lethal. He wasn't using a weapon.
Okay, well, let me muscle my way in here then. Is it okay to shoot people who bear mace you?
Well, that's what I was answering.
Is it okay to shoot people who bear mace you?
So let me finish what I was saying. What I was saying was, morally, I would say that shooting somebody with a lethal weapon that does not have a gun would be immoral. That's
Okay.
that's my take. But you
So
will
it was
also have.
immoral.
I would say it's wrong. Yeah, he should have never brought a gun downtown unless he really felt like that.
Completely
That I mean, that's
irrelevant.
the problem. That's the problem, is that he has the right to be armed. People should be armed. But when all you have is a gun and somebody's attacking you, you're likely to use a gun. That's the problem.
But the thing
It's
is that he wasn't attacking him. Reinhold went way out of his way to get in front of Jay. That's all on video. Reinhold
yeah,
saw
no,
him out and
that's
attacked
not really on
him.
video though. That's
Yes, it
conjecture
is.
based off of.
No, it's not
It's not though.
conjecture. It's not
It's not
conjecture.
factual.
It
It's
is
subjective.
factual. Watch
Yeah,
the
so this
damn
is-
video. He
This
steps
is actually
off.
where I see my way out, because I've gone round and round with John before. I've gone round and round with any number of other lefties
No,
about
I
shit like
You
understand.
this.
haven't though. You
I'll
just
That's
handle
all
it.
they do is muddy the water. That's their
You just
number one
block them.
tactic, is to muddy the water.
So how does he go all the way from ducking into the garage to suddenly being in front of Jay if he wasn't initiating the conflict? How does that happen?
What I was saying was that
No. Answer the question.
So was your point that he was in front of Jay?
He was at the time that he pulled his gun on him.
Okay,
Yes,
yeah, I'm not going
that's
to
on
argue
video.
that.
Okay,
But
but
what
you
I'm
just said
saying-
it wasn't true.
I don't know all the facts because he went
You
out of the
definitely
video.
don't.
We don't know what was going on.
No, the video is very clear. There's like maybe 0.5 seconds that's not available. And even this
How is
video
the
that is
video clear
available
when he's not
shows
even in
him
the
pointing
video
his gun at
saying-
Jay Danielson. That is the truth. That is the truth.
But what movements he made when he was not in the video we don't know that.
So
But
Do we?
John, why did he
teleport in
have to
front of
run?
him?
Why did he run across the street when Jay and Chandler were on the other side of the street at the time this happened? Why did he have to run across the street to get to them?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know that happened because
So
I
then
don't
how
have
It
did he
did.
get
It's on video. It's
let me
on
handle this,
video.
Ashley. How
Yeah,
did
I
he
mean-
get
It's not on
Sorry.
from the
video.
garage to in front of him then? How did it happen? You're saying it's conjecture. Is
My
there any
friends-
other explanation? Did he teleport in front of Jay Danielson?
You're
How
never
did
going
he
to get a
get there?
straight
I'm
answer.
saying I don't know the movements because there's
Yeah.
not video of it.
You're never going to get a
Okay.
straight answer out of John ever, because this is
Well,
what
it's
he does
fine.
for a living.
I got this. So
All right,
if
well,
that's the case,
I'm bored.
okay. No, I got it. If that's the case, he knows they're coming. He ducks into the garage, watches them pass
Correct.
by, pulls out his gun, is suddenly in front of Jay. Pulls
We don't
his
know he
gun
pulled
on
out his
him.
gun though. That's what I'm
He
saying.
has his hand
He
on the
could've.
gun in the video.
But there's no video that shows him pulling out the gun. There's video of him.
Yes, there
He
is.
obviously
He's in
did.
gun stance in the Dunlap video.
Oh, okay,
Literally
I know what you're
the first
talking about
video
now.
that came to
Yes,
light.
you're correct about that.
Thank you.
Yes, but when you said that he ducked in the garage and then he
Yes,
came out and
because
pulled
that's
his
on video
gun.
too. That's on video.
Yes, but I'm saying the way you made it sound was that he was in the garage. He came out of the garage and pulled his gun. It's not necessarily a series of events.
That's what happened.
Okay.
So
Do you
what
know
else
that?
happened?
If I recall
Give me an
correctly,
explanation. The gun was in his hand when he pointed it at him, and that's why Jay Danielson reacted with the bear mace. It's obvious to anybody who watches the video. Okay, but at the end of the day, just as Chandler already pointed out, it doesn't matter. The man didn't have a gun in his hand. The man had bear mace in his hand. Okay? Antifa routinely bear maces people for saying things they don't like, and they don't get shot for it.
I've already answered the question about it being wrong.
Yes, that's correct, but you're still playing defense for evil people. That's what this is about.
But that's the thing. I was the first one to condemn Michael. Like it was like the day of or the next.
I'm glad
day.
you did that. Are you telling all the people that are currently talking about what a great dude he was that they should shut the fuck up?
Who says?
Are you
Who says he
confronting
was a
them?
great dude? He was literally fed jacketing other activists, and he was almost starting fights. Almost got my friends jumped. There was nothing about Michael that anybody respected. So I don't know.
That's not
You're
how they
getting
make
this
it
from.
out on Twitter. They make it out
But
that he was
who's
this
they?
beautiful martyr.
Random anonymous accounts that just want to troll you guys and talk shit because they don't like
Oh, come
Patriot
on.
Prayer, they don't like
Come
Chandler,
on, come on.
so they're gonna talk shit.
No. That ain't gonna fly, dude. Okay, look. So was there anything else that you needed to ask that was relevant
There was, but I forgot what. Oh, no, because I asked the question, and then Chandler went to what if we were looking for a fight? Would that make it
Right.
okay? Which I answered the question.
Right. And
And the
I
point I
answered
was
you to point out that
the,
Antifa does that on a routine basis and nobody gets shot over it.
and
That's
then
what
I was pointing out that it is a subjective, whether it's right or wrong is subjective, because there are people that argue, like for instance, when the kids were up on the overpass and the truckers convoy came through and they were throwing eggs and paint at vehicles, they were arguing that it would have been okay to use lethal force on those kids because of how dangerous it is. So that's the
Well, no, you
same
don't get to pull
concept.
like the most insane idea out of your ass and say, well, other people think this, and then give it base. All right. It's just you've taken way too much time of the show. I understand this is part of your tactics, what you do for a living, or you're bored or whatever. I don't know what your deal is. If your mother didn't love you and you need attention.
So what about shooting people that are stealing stuff off your property?
Yeah,
a lot of people
dude, I'm just done with John the Lefty. I've said my piece.
No, that's fine. I got it.
Because I'm making an argument that needs to be dissected, and you can't handle it.
Which argument were you making that needs to be dissected?
Why do you,
all I heard
who
was you
determines
kind
what
of
needs
like
to be dissected?
hammering for like, you know,
Different
Why do I give a fuck what you think?
I mean, it's whatever, dude. You were stealing shit out of my backpack in DC. I didn't ever say shit.
I think
you're
Tanner's
lying.
got
You're
this
one of the
I was
most
hungry.
violent
What the
people.
fuck you want from me?
What?
It was just snacks, bro. I was hungry. What you want from me?
Okay. You know I had snacks in my backpack. I do like carrying snacks around.
He didn't steal anything.
you
He
learned your
took a
lesson
bag
there,
of
didn't you?
snacks, John.
Let me see if I have this
that's like,
right. It's okay that Antifa murdered his friend because he stole snacks out of your bag?
No, I stole snacks from him after. And actually, there were a bunch of really good people around me who said, hey, you probably shouldn't do that. So I didn't actually make away with anything.
You keep saying that it's okay for him to get killed because blah, blah, blah.
No,
I've already
it's just
answered
that
that
you're
question.
bringing up a lot of stuff that's an attempt to try to muddy the waters away from the reality
No, I
of
was
the
just
situation.
talking shit to Papas. It didn't really have anything to do with
I understand. Okay, well, thank you for your contribution. Did you have anything else before you're finished?
Yeah, what I keep getting interrupted about is that killing people, something that justifies it is subjective. And I'm giving examples, and then I'm just getting interrupted. So there are lots of people, there are probably millions of people that would say it's okay to shoot somebody that steals shit off your property, right?
You know what's interesting is there were a lot of people that thought Hitler was right.
And they were wrong.
I
guess I don't understand why you think it's valid
and bad
to bring up shooting people over property, because that doesn't have anything to do with what we're talking about. But
because your argument,
Chandler.
This conversation, it was nice to know you. Sayonara.
Because you're
okay. So
your nephew was waving hi really quick.
What's happening, Trey?
No.
He said, "What's happening, Trey?"
I don't understand what arguments, just to clarify to the audience, I don't understand what arguments he was trying to make that he thought were not being resolved, but no amount of like people shooting people over property makes any relevant point to me as far as like what we were discussing. But either way, I think we got a lot done out of that. And I know that irritated you, Chandler, but to be honest with you, I think, especially from the people in the chat, that was extraordinarily humiliating for him. And that's why I apologize for being so assertive. I'm not normally like that, but I knew I had his number and how to pin him down. And he looked pretty silly at that point. So that's what
I have the utmost respect for you and what you're doing. I've just been through it with the motherfucker so many times. And their whole tactic is literally to waste time. It's the same thing they do on the political level when we want to argue about the border and the safety of the border and the bodies we find on the border and the kids who are raped on the border and the hair dye and spray tan and colored contacts that we find on the border from the little white kids that go south, because that happens too. And they always say, oh, well, we really got to have a committee about this. And it's been years, and there are thousands of people a day who have issues on the border, and hundreds of people, I don't know exact numbers, but I know there's a lot of people a day that are dying. And it's not acceptable. But they muddy the waters and they run it this and that, and they do it with everything. And it's so boring. It's not clever. It's not cute. It doesn't even infuriate me anymore. It used to make my blood boil. It's just boring at this point. they're just so damn predictable.
Well, the whole thing, and that's why I was saying, is he said it's immoral, but he's running interference, like trying to muddy the waters as if there's some level of it. And then he tried to say that it's, what is it? He said it's abstract or something. Like, it's okay. But the problem is that that's why I said is that even if the scenario was what they claim it was, which is to suggest that he was bear macing someone. Again, I did a whole video montage of Antifa doing that to people on a regular basis. People who aren't even involved. Right. It's like, you know, so if that's the case, there'd be an awful lot of dead kids in Black Bloc. They don't, it's just, they're so, it's also like, if they bring up that you're a felon because you got into an engagement with the police, I'm like, so just so I understand, these are pro-Antifa types that are telling us that if somebody happens to have a felony for fighting with the police in some fashion, that they're non-credible because that's something Antifa does all the time. It's like they were so desperate to find anything that they could to try to in any way paint what Reinhold did in a positive light or to make it in some way justified that that's the reason why they take things the way they do there. It was just, but it's, yeah, the reason I wanted to catch somebody doing what they do on Twitter on my show.
You got it, man.
Did. That's all
I just have to. I respect you a lot too, Neil. That's why I just shut my microphone off.
Yeah, and I didn't want to do that. I don't want you to think I was talking over you. It's just I knew I had.
No. You have to because I would have went off. Like I know myself, so that's why I just shut the microphone off. I've been into it with him so much. Like, he put my address and everything all over. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he comes back to try to take more of our time. See, it's actually it's impressive that they don't even have any shame.
Full Rev, if you want to come on a show just with me, let me see where is he? If you want to come on a show just with me to debate this topic with you, I will happily tear your face off live in front of everybody listening again, while you desperately try to cling to whatever, like just reach into the deep, dark depths of your anal cavity to try to find some excuse as to why it's okay to shoot a guy because he might have bear mace in his hand walking down the street of Portland. Well,
and it's funny how he says that he called it out, but yet he has other tweets where he's like, oh, Reinhold, that was a judicial execution and blah, 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 blah. Like, how do you call something out? But
they definitely didn't give Reinhold a chance to live. And I'm going to abstain from sharing my opinion about that. But
I've got a video in my documentary of a black girl who gave her testimony who said that he had a gun. So I don't know. The problem is that the left-wing media, when they were handling that situation, they only took the story specifically of the one person who said that he didn't have a gun. And then they made that the headline. And then even in the Vice article, they admit that there were 3 other witnesses who said he had a gun. And well, who was the witness? Oh, it just happened to be the Antifa guy that he was staying with. Of course, So I don't know. It doesn't really matter to me in the end. So, but I agree with that much. More would have come out in a trial. We would have found out why, like, who was all culpable, because it was pretty clear to me that everybody there knew something was going on. That's why I brought up the black Charger that was clearly trying to hurry to the scene. That's the other thing. There was somebody screaming no. Do you remember that? Somebody was screaming no, like trying to convince him not to do it or something. And we never know who did that either. But
I actually watched that happen live. I was watching Dunlap while me and my husband were on our wedding anniversary trip at the coast. And there might have been someone yelling no, but I remember saying we got to right here. And then, but I can't remember if I heard anyone yell no or not.
What were you going to say, Chandler?
The Portland police made a point not to do a thorough investigation on that. They buried it. There were people that needed to, at the very least, be questioned that weren't there. I mean, there are people who are guilty participants in that who are walking the street today because they have the right politics. Where if I engage in using mace with people who don't even identify themselves as police officers, I am now the first person in prison or in Oregon history to ever go to prison for such a charge. So.
Well, it also has to make you wonder how many of them were COINTELPRO, like, because there's plenty of that going on. Like, did you guys remember the video of like the old man who got in a shootout with Antifa in Portland?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? And like, for some reason, all of a sudden, there's all these Antifa who have handguns out of nowhere, getting in a shootout with this dude, and then they arrest him, and somehow nobody else gets arrested.
I think
not
something
the
that
4
a
other
lot of
people
people
discharging firearms. Anyway, go ahead.
I think a lot of people on the right don't want to admit or accept that Antifa is definitely armed. I don't know who's paying for their weapons or how they're getting them, but they also go through a lot of effort to secure their intel. And we've actually followed them home before, and when I was there, they stopped on the side of the freeway, and a bunch of them got out to go get in their cars that were parked down in a neighborhood. So it makes it really, really obvious if you're trying to tail them what's going on. So they put a lot of effort into it, whereas these people who self-identify as patriots will show up to these events in their own personal vehicles with their own plates exposed and don't wear masks. I mean, you can't be surprised when they go and they track you down. I mean, these people have said it for years now. They hate you. They want to kill you, and they are actively doing it. They're still doing it. They killed a guy not a handful of months after they killed Jay in Colorado. Same thing. The guy busted out his mace because somebody was harassing him. He got shot in the fucking dome for it.
Right.
So it just is what it is, man.
Well, I want to thank you guys for coming on tonight. And I know it's kind of impromptu. It's like 3 a.m. where I am. I'm actually not tired because I got all fired up telling that guy to freaking shut up. But anyway, that was me in rare form. If you finally do hear me raise my voice, it means that I'm fully engaged, target locked. So I was like, no, we're not doing this on my show. You're not gonna make light of this guy getting shot in the street. That ain't happening.
No, Full Rev. That is not what I said.
What is he saying?
I've seen that.
Yeah. What is it? Chandler, you also said it was time to start murdering people. No, that's not what he said. That's what he's saying.
Not what I said. No, it's out there. It's out there. You can look it up and you can find it. That's not it. All right.
So anyway, guys.
I'm going to keep working on getting those screenshots for you, Neil. I'll reach out to you here in a few days.
I think that was the final take on all of this. Is the reason why we did it was to kind of offer a counter narrative to what was just told about by this Ara person. And I do in the end kind of think that Ara is obviously small potatoes, but at the same time, she's lying about some shit that I personally investigated really hard. And a person that I'm a friend of, or was before he passed away. And I knew the people in the Discord weren't going to appreciate it, and meaning Villain's Discord, we're not going to appreciate her claiming to be his friend. And I don't think it's an accident at all that she's trying to gain clout by quoting that she was friends with 2 people who are not around to defend themselves from being any allegations of being involved with her. But even the hostile person that we brought on still admitted that nobody likes her. And I don't know, that was kind of a weird kind of...
But he believes her.
Yeah, she said a lot of things that I said that I didn't really say, but, she tells me something and I believe her. I'm like, what? How does that work? Yeah. I don't know. Maybe if it's a politician or something, that reminds me of what it was like not wanting to vote for Hillary Clinton. It was like, no, she's a kind of a liar. Like, why would you ever believe that woman? It's like, well, no, politicians lie, so, but I believe her. Okay.
We may have got a little bit off topic talking to John and whatever else, because that's what he does. He's good at it. You got to give him credit there. But I personally just want to take a second to say thank you to Chrissy and Uber and everybody else from Villains Discord who came on. Yeah, we appreciate you coming out here. It's unfortunate what people can kind of get away with saying, especially when there's so many people that don't really know the situation. And I mean, outside of you guys, he wasn't. I mean, I don't know what he ate for dinner, so appreciate you guys stepping up anyway.
So, all right, thank you very much for coming on, and tune in, guys. Tomorrow at noon, I will be bringing on a sociologist that actually wrote several papers trying to warn people that sociology was being taken over by activists. And the funny thing is he's also a left-leaning guy, and he believes in a lot of the causes that the left does, but he recognizes that you can't pollute a science like sociology and have it still be functional when you're done. That show will be coming on at noon tomorrow, my time, provided everything works out for it. And, I want to thank Ashley for coming on, Chandler for coming on. Let's do this sometime a little less impromptu and perhaps have that was one thing I got to say is I had a moment there where I was like, oh, look at this. a constructive conversation between Chandler and somebody you can't stand, because I do want to eventually be able to do stuff like that going forward, but people have to be willing to agree to my rules. Now, mind you, if I'm moderating, I'm not participating, and I'm very strict on my rules, which is don't talk over top of each other and do not engage in personal attack. It's not just because it's immoral, it's because people do that because they're trying to distract from the reality of the argument in question. They don't do it because it's valid. You bring up something irrelevant about someone to try to get the audience to distrust what they say rather than address the facts that they're presenting. So anybody who can agree to those rules, feel free to let me know. I'll be happy to moderate your debate. And when I do it, I take my integrity very seriously, so I'm not going to get involved if I am. Thanks again for tuning into V Radio, guys. I'll talk to you guys just a little bit off the air after this, and we'll take it from there. Thanks, guys, for tuning in.
All right,
Thank you.
brother.